What's up, guys? Joseph Brasher from Top Velocity Northwest. I'm a pitching coach at the Top Velocity Northwest facility in Bellevue, Washington. Today, we're going to react to a video called 3 Foods Baseball Players Must Avoid from Ultimate Baseball Training again. So this should be fun. Let's just dive right in.
Hey guys, what's going on? Coach Justin here from Ultimate Baseball Training, and in today's video, I wanted to talk to you about 3 foods that baseball players should completely avoid. And then on the flip side, I'm going to give you some good things that you can be putting into your body so that you can perform your best on game day, okay? Now, this video is about nutrition, right? We're not out at the field. This is a different setting and a different style of video. But nutrition is very, very important. You really, truly do. You get out what you put in your body. And, you know, nutrition is not the sexiest topic, but nutrition is going to help you play your best, and it truly separates the good players from the great players. And I always like to use...
I agree with everything you just said, by the way. Nutrition is very important. And it can be sexy if it helps you look better. So, you know, there's always that benefit.
A sports car analogy or example. So let's say that you had a great year and you ended up going in the first round of the Major League Draft, and you got this huge signing bonus, right? And with this signing bonus, you use some of the money to put towards this awesome, your dream sports car, okay? So you get that, you're driving it home, you're driving it around town for a few days, showing it off, and then the next thing that you know, you have to fill that vehicle up with gasoline, with fuel, right? So you drive down to the gas station, and you have a couple different options. You can go with, the 85 or the 86 or the 87. You can go with basically the lower end quality fuel all the way up to the highest quality fuel that they have. And you have a few different choices there. Obviously, the top fuel is going to cost a little bit more money, and it's going to be a little bit inconvenient maybe for you. But at the same time, you're going to get out a much better, cleaner burn of fuel, and your car is going to run better. It's going to operate better. Well, it's the exact same thing with your body. Guys,
Yeah, that was a good analogy because, like you said, you can have the best sports car or the best talent to work with, but if you're not fueling yourself correctly, not giving your body what it needs to grow and recover and maintain, then you're going to run into problems down the road. So good analogy right there.
If you want to get out the maximum, the best possible result, then you have to put in the best quality ingredients that you possibly can, okay? So that is your nutrition and your diet. But you get out what you put in. I really want to stress that to you in this particular video, because you can't expect to play at a high level when all you're doing is eating fast food, putting in crap into your body.
Why do you think pro athletes, or the top elites, why do you think they all have professional chefs, right? It's not because they just want, pancakes whenever they want. They need, their meals set out, and they need someone else basically in charge of it to make sure they're getting what they need to keep playing at their top performance. I'm not saying you need a personal chef. The way I do my meal plans are very easy to follow, yummy recipes, but you get the idea, right? These players know that nutrition is very important. And even if the best guys at the top level know their nutrition is important, then, whoever you are and what level you're at, it's probably should be important for you too.
You're not going to, for any length of time, get consistent results, okay? So I love that analogy. I think it puts it into great perspective. Bottom line, nutrition is important, okay? So now let's talk about 3 foods that you really want to avoid if you want to make gains in the gym and if you want to play at your best, at your peak on the field, okay? And I'm going to keep this simple. I can bog you down with, tons of scientific evidence and studies and things like that, but I really don't think that helps anybody. It just confuses you. So I'm going to keep this really, really simple, and hopefully you're going to learn a thing or two in this particular video, okay?
Yeah, I'm not talking about him specifically, but I think this is good because I always try to find the fine line, or try to see where the line is. Science and studies are good because they can help add some weight and authority to what you're saying. But also, science isn't exact. It's not actually, the truth. Just because there's one study doesn't mean that's the way things are. This is just one study done with some people and some scientists who are all flawed human beings, and these are their findings. So it's about taking all the science together and collectively analyzing it and figuring out what the common trends are. That's what's going to help you. So I like to sort of bring up the science when doing pitching mechanics or nutrition or whatever, to add some weight and give some context and background for how these things specifically help you, but then also how to teach people. You don't want to just use the scientific lingo and things like that because they're not going to understand it. You're going to confuse people. So trying to examine where that line is really important. So I like what he's saying there.
Okay, so number one, the first thing that you want to try to avoid at all possible costs, and you're going to probably hate me for saying this, it's Gatorade and Powerade and all the sugary sports drinks, okay? You see these ads on TV all the time promoting these particular products to young athletes, and they make it seem like these products are so great for you to put in your body, and in actuality, that couldn't be further from the truth. And here's why. These drinks are filled with sugar, and they're filled with high fructose corn syrup. None of those things are good for you, okay? So,
I agree with him, but I think for different reasons. I'm sort of in the camp of water should be your main fuel as an athlete. Some other drinks in moderation are fine, but if your primary source is these sports drinks, I don't necessarily think that's great because number one, over time they have lots of calories, and if you're trying to maintain somewhat of a lean or decent build where it's optimal to build muscle, these extra calories are not going to help you. And yeah, the lots of sugar that can cause some issues. I'm not necessarily in the camp of like, oh, corn syrup and all these things are terrible. I don't necessarily agree with him on that. But there are some electrolytes and some replenishing minerals in these drinks, but I really think that it's just a lot of marketing to get people to use them. Really, they're just like fruit juice, or they're closer to a soda than it is water. So I think water should be your primary source. 80-20 rule is always good. 80% of your water for fueling, 20% sort of drink whatever you want, aside from maybe a few things.
If you absolutely have to have your Powerade or your Gatorade fix, one thing that you can do is you can half it. Okay, so get 2 different bottles or whatever, pour half into the other bottle, and then fill both those bottles up with water. So you have
good. I like how he's promoting moderation, because let's be honest, restrictive diets and strict rules, if people like a certain food, that is not going to work. They're eventually going to binge on that food, or they're going to want to have it. So I like that he's promoting, find a way to moderate it. Maybe it's not Gatorade, maybe it's chocolate milk, or alcohol for a lot of people is an issue, a lot of college players or whatever. Find a way to just moderate it. Don't go, I'm just going to go cold turkey, because that might not work for you. That might work for some people, but that might not work for you. Find a way to moderate it and maybe slowly work it to a point where it's barely in your diet or out of your diet.
A half Gatorade, half water kind of mixture.
And personally, just this is just my opinion. There's nothing to back this up. Personally, those drinks, they make me sick when I drink them. Some people absolutely love them, but like I said, just find a way to moderate it. I don't really feel like these drinks are doing you a lot of good.
Dilute it a little bit, and I actually think it personally tastes a little bit better as well, so that's an option for you. And I'm not telling you to never drink Gatorade or Powerade. I consume Powerade and Gatorade probably more than I should, right? But I definitely don't just have a Powerade or Gatorade when I'm at home just relaxing, and I don't make it a daily part of my diet, and I recommend that you do the exact same thing. So just bottom line, don't...
Or if you're going to have these drinks, I think have like the zero or the low calorie or the 0 calorie versions of them. Because, we can get into artificial sweeteners. We'll do that in a different video. But then just have the low calorie, because those are automatically going to be much more diluted. And so they're not going to have as much of what he's talking about there. They will have some artificial sweeteners. Like I said, we'll talk about that in a different video. But you won't be stacking all these excess calories on top of your already probably calorie-rich diet if you're an athlete.
Don't get addicted to them. They're fine to have every now and then. It's fine to mix things up. I know sometimes, if you drink water all week at practice, sometimes you want to have Gatorade or, more of a sugary drink during the game, which is fine from time to time, but just don't get caught up in being addicted and having to have a Gatorade or a Powerade or one of those sugary sports drinks on a daily basis. The next big thing that you want to avoid, if at all possible, is fast food. I know it's difficult. I know you constantly have to keep yourself in check, but it's doable, and I know that you can avoid or at least limit fast food, okay? The problem with fast food is there's not hardly any nutritional value.
I agree a lot with this, because it's really easy, especially college players I talk to. most of them don't have a ton of money, and that's not an excuse, and it's not ragging on anyone. It's just that the reality of being a college athlete, even kids in high school, where they don't necessarily always control what they eat. So you end up eating fast food a lot of the time, and really you shouldn't, but that can happen. And I think I agree with what he's saying. The nutritional value is definitely lower in these foods, and the caloric density is incredibly high. And I mean, it depends on what you eat. There is ways to go to these fast food places and not completely ruin what you're trying to do. There are some somewhat healthy options, and it just all comes down to the choices you make. I mean, if you pick the most calorically dense and less nutritional dense foods, then you could really be hurting yourself. But if you go to a lot of these fast food places, you just have to be very careful about what they put on your food, and you really have to know your stuff to make sure you're getting the right things. I mean, most fast food places have some version of a salad or a baked chicken salad, and as long as you're careful about the dressing and what they're putting on there and the sauces, you can usually get away with it. It's not my first choice, but there's ways to go to these places with your friends or whatever you're doing and not completely ruin what you're doing. And having these meals on occasion in moderation is not going to completely kill you either. But I agree with him. If this is like a regular staple in your diet, that is a bit of a problem.
And what you're consuming, and that's the whole reason that you eat food in the first place, right? Is to consume something that's going to better help you fuel your day going forward. It's going to help you perform at your best for the remainder of the day. And fast food is really just kind of gut fill. It's, very little nutritional value. It's something that's literally just going to fill you up, and then at that point not really do much else for you. So try and stay away from fast food, and just remember, nothing really that great comes in, a drive-through window or a box or something like that. Processed foods come in boxes at the grocery store. Those aren't the greatest foods. It's better to, shop on the outskirts of Walmart or wherever you get your groceries, and that's where you're going to find your meat and your produce and all of that. So
yeah, if you're an athlete, get used to shopping for your food. It's just time, okay? It's time to know what you're eating, your ingredients, okay? Just spend a little time figuring out, what you like to eat, what sort of is in the general, ballpark of being healthy, and then finding ways to make recipes fun, tasty, and interesting, and still have some nutritional value, which is what we're all about in my nutrition plans.
So try to avoid fast food if at all possible. All the grease and lack of nutritional value is not doing you very much good. The last thing that you really want to stay away from is candy. When it comes to nutrition, things can pretty much either do one of two things. They can help you and help your performance, or they can hinder you. And so it's kind of like a ever-balancing act, but there's not really a middle ground when it comes to nutrition. Things can either help you or they can hurt you, and candy is definitely not going to help you on the baseball field. And this is just something with athletes in general. I don't think that I would necessarily say baseball.
I mean, I like myself some candy, but I know it's not really something I prescribe much or encourage, because it is basically just wasted calories. There basically is no nutritional value in 99% of candies. On my diet plans, if you really want some candy, you get to have it a bit in moderation, 80-20 rule. But, as a general meal staple, having a candy bar or two, not going to be the best for muscle growth. So he's right about that.
Baseball players have more of an issue with it, but a lot of athletes, it seems, they can't wean themselves.
I think baseball players, they struggle because they're on the road the most, and they're stuck in situations where maybe optimal nutrition is just not an option. And so grabbing a candy bar at a gas station is pretty easy to do if you're on the road, as opposed to, other sports where you're only on the road, during that weekend maybe or whatever.
Off of the candy. They're kind of addicted to candy, and that's not a great place to be because the lack of nutritional value. It's really not serving a purpose. It's really not helping your body in any form or fashion. So my suggestion, it's fine if you want to do it in moderation every now and then.
That's exactly what I said. So this guy's got, I like his approach.
Candy bar, but don't rely on it, and definitely don't just come home and say, oh man, I'm hungry, or in between a doubleheader, man, I'm kind of hungry, and then eat some candy, because it's not going to do anything for you at all. There's much better options that you can go to, so try and avoid.
Find a way, protein bars I think would be a great one to switch over to. Not the Gatorade ripoff garbage. Don't get those protein bars. I'm talking about, the real protein bars. They're 200 calories, 20 grams of protein. That stuff. They're still relatively sweet. They have some chocolate in them. They curb that sweet tooth, and they're much more nutritionally dense and filling as opposed to grabbing a Crunch bar at the gas station.
The candy, if at all possible. Now, I don't just want to sit on this video and tell you all the bad things to avoid and just be negative throughout this entire video. I want to give you guys some things that you should try to consume, some good things that you can put into your body to see maximum results on the field, okay, in the weight room. That's what it's all about. So here are some great foods. Number one, this isn't necessarily a food, it's a drink, but water. Water, guys. If you want to play...
Don't we all know this at this point? Like, you should be drinking water, and that should be your primary source of liquid. I mean, it's so freaking obvious at this point. And when you're drinking anything else, there is water in it. So it's like water is in everything. You should be drinking water. It's great for your body. I feel like everyone knows this, but not everyone follows it.
At your peak, you have to be consuming water, especially when you're a baseball player out playing summer ball games in the hot sun. You need to drink water. I recommend half of your body weight at least in ounces. So if you are, let's say, a 200-pound person, then that would be 100 ounces in water per day, okay? And
that's a lot. I mean, let me see. So this is about 17 fluid ounces. So you're looking at about 5 to 6 bottles. So yeah, that's pretty reasonable. I would say also too, when you first wake up in the morning, if you can handle it. Personally, for some reason in the morning when I try to just drink straight water, it makes me sick. So it makes some people sick. But if you can early in the morning get hydrated early, that'll help with your energy levels for sure.
A lot of the times, especially on days that you're playing a game or two, I would actually recommend that you drink more than that. You might consume up to your body weight, your full body weight in ounces of water. But water is very, very important, guys. One thing that I notice, and I don't know if there's any scientific study to back this up, but when I'm dehydrated, when I just completely feel dehydrated, one of the first thing that goes, in my personal opinion, is vision. For some reason, I feel like I cannot see as clearly when I'm dehydrated. And that just goes to show you that water and your nutrition, what you put into your body, has a great effect.
Thinking about that personally, I think, like there's no science to back this up. We're just kind of brainstorming at this point. But, when you're dehydrated, I would say just your cognitive functions and energy in general is sort of compromised at that point. So that could end up hurting your vision. So it's just interesting things to think about.
Effect on everything else. But think about it as a baseball player. If your eyes go, if your vision goes, then what do you have left? Your eyes are what really help you out in this game. Whether you're pitching, whether you're fielding a ground ball, whether you're catching a fly ball, and definitely when you're hitting, your eyes lead the way. So water is very, very important. Something else you might want to mix in your diet is some coconut water. Now, you could find coconut water at pretty much every single...
I find coconut water absolutely disgusting. But if you like drinking it, then good for you. There's, I believe, some electrolytes and some nutritional value in coconut water. I think it's kind of disgusting. But, so we'll see what he has to say here.
Grocery store out there, but coconut water is much better for you than any of those sugary drinks, Gatorade, Powerade, all of that. It's really awesome stuff. It tastes great. It has, the potassium of 2 bananas. It's got more electrolytes than Gatorade or Powerade ever will. So I would highly recommend you mix in some coconut water. It is a little bit more on the pricey side, but you get what you pay for. Invest in your body. I'm not telling you to do it every single day, but every now and then when you feel like splurging, definitely try out some coconut water. It's really, really going to help you, and it tastes great. Now let's talk about my favorite category, and that is protein. You have to be consuming protein on a daily basis. What is protein? That's things like chicken, eggs, steak, fish, ground beef, turkey, other types of seafood. There's countless different protein sources.
Not to mention there's lots of non-meat protein sources, which, there's plenty of on my diet because not everyone is a super big meat eater. Obviously, meat is an easy source to get protein from. It can depend. The amount of fat can definitely change the caloric density of that meat, But there's also lots of good non-protein sources out there. I'm not some sort of advocate for being vegetarian or vegan or anything. I'm just saying that certain kind of breads and wraps and healthy things like that can also have a lot of protein in them as well.
But in my opinion, and the reason why I love protein so much is because it tastes great. There's so many different ways you can prepare chicken and steak and even eggs. There's so many different ways that you can, mix turkey in with things. And so I would highly recommend, don't get a lot of your protein from protein shakes and whey protein. That stuff, those are supplements. They're called supplements for a reason because they're supposed to supplement or add to your already solid diet, okay? So don't mistake what I'm saying. Oh, just consume, 3 or 4 protein.
I think that's good advice. There's basically a scoop of protein in my diet. It's 24 grams or whatever, and it goes in my breakfast. There's nothing wrong with whey proteins. I think getting your primary source of food from regular whole food groups is probably good, and probably good for sustainability as well. You're not going to have protein shakes 3 meals a day for the rest of your life, although there's lots of good recipes there. And if you need protein, adding in that supplementation, I think, is necessary, and it can help you. But I would agree, and for a more sustainable approach, try to find it in foods that you enjoy.
Shakes a day. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about legit protein that you're going to put on your plate, like a big steak or a big old, grilled chicken breast, and then you're going to actually consume it with a fork, okay? This is not something that you drink. This is something that you eat with a fork. Now, protein shakes and all that are great if you're a little low on the calories for the day or if you need a little bit more protein.
Not to mention there's low-calorie shake recipes that can be really filling too, protein ice cream and things like that.
But again, it's a supplement. It's going to add to your already great diet. It's not just going to replace your diet, okay? But protein, make sure that you're getting enough of it each and every single day. Now, let's talk about fruits and vegetables, another great thing that you need to be consuming. Fruits and vegetables, there's tons and tons of fruits and vegetables, so you can really take your pick. You can choose some things. Obviously certain fruits and certain veggies are better than others, but the cool part about it is I don't like, every single vegetable out there. I don't like every single fruit out there, but there's lots of...
Yeah, learn to like some fruits and vegetables, I would say. I've talked to athletes where it's like, oh, I don't really like fruits and vegetables. It's like, really? Like none of them? So find some of them, because the nutritional density, especially in things leafy dark greens like lettuce and things like that, oh my gosh, the nutritional density is great. They're very filling, so that is stuff I would say try and find something that you can eat there.
Them that I do like that I can easily put into my diet and get in my fruits and vegetables servings for the day, okay? So plenty of different fruits, apples, bananas, plenty of different vegetables. One thing that I really like to do is
fruits and vegetables, that's really something that can help you based on your calorie goals. You can modifying the fruits and vegetables you're eating can be one of the easiest things you can do. If you're trying to reduce caloric density, eating less calorically dense, so like watermelon, carrots, spinach, lettuce, things like that, all things on the low calorie dense side. And then if you're trying to put on some size and increase your caloric density, then we're looking at avocados, bananas. I think apples is somewhere in the middle range. Things like that are going to be a little higher in calorie.
As far as the veggie side, because that's probably my worst part of my diet, has always just been my consumption of veggies. So one thing that I'll do is I'll mix in veggies with a lot of different things now. I love, in the morning, I'll grill up some potatoes, and then I'll put some eggs in there, and then I'll actually put some bell peppers and some onions in there as well. That's...
I'm not a big bell pepper and onion fan, but this is a good tip. Wraps with tons of spinach and lettuce. Oh, it's so good. You can throw it on your protein pizzas. Just learning to mix it in, I think, is a really good tip. It can increase your fullness too.
An easy way to get quite a few vegetables into my diet, and I really can't even taste it, or it makes that entire entree taste a little bit better. So I was really bad with veggies when I was growing up, when I was a little kid. But I promise you, just keep experimenting. If you don't like something, say, hey, Mom, Dad, we need to switch that up. I need to try it a different way. I don't like that. But I promise you, don't give up on them, because you're going to find some fruits and some veggies that you actually like. The last healthy food recommendation that I have for you is it's okay for athletes to eat starchy carbs. What do I mean by starchy carbs? I'm talking about rice, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, all of that stuff, okay? You are burning calories at a ridiculous pace when you're practicing, when you're lifting weights, when you're out there playing a game or a doubleheader, right? So it is okay for you to consume starchy carbs. Definitely, load up on the sweet potatoes at dinner, load up at the rice. I'm a big fan of rice. I'll cook rice in a variety of different ways. I have rice all the time, but don't be
Yeah, this is I would say it borders towards myth that you need to stay away from carbs, stay away from carbs. All that matters is the calorie value at the end if you're talking about energy balance. And the starchy carbs and carbohydrates can be a great energy source when you're doing these long double headers, you're pitching long games, whatever. This is a great source of that continual energy. I love oatmeal. I eat oatmeal every day. I love potatoes and things like that.
afraid of those starchy carbs. I hope you enjoyed today's video on...
Okay, this is a really good video. This Ultimate Baseball, again, these guys seem to know what they're talking about. That was a really good nutrition video. So if you like what you see, subscribe, like the video, follow me on Instagram. That's in the description box. Please leave a comment. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.